Hey, what's up? It's Anthony Valadez, host of GP360, a Grand Performances podcast. This is our 40th season, and if you can believe it, we are down to our season finale. But I want to encourage you to listen to previous episodes of this podcast. Cedo Hetado talking about day one of GP, Thez One talking about connecting LA as arteries, Adrian Quesada talking about the Bolero Latin sound and its acceptance to LA, connecting LA to Texas, Ozo Motley, I mean, what can I say about those brothers? They get wild. Eric Coleman about documenting memories and curating shows, talking about the influence of Dr. Dre, Jametta Rose connecting Earth to the moon and to the ancestral energies of the stars, and Todd and Ruby Simon talking about all things Ethio Cali, which brings us to our current episode with none other than Kahlil Cummings. Now, Kahlil's been labeled as a prodigy. Since the age of 11, he's been rocking stages, including grand performances as a kid. He rocked alongside Kamasi Washington, Bad Bunny at the Super Bowl, and we talk a lot about that. We talk about his musical roots at Hamilton High and much more. I really think you're going to love this episode. So get cozy, get comfy. Let's get into it, to our season finale. Saturday, August 29th, 6 to 10 p.m. It's going down. I'm talking about none other than Bloco Obini with cue violin. My man Kahlil Cummings will be on the stage working his magic in the energetic cumbia sounds of Son Rompe Perra. Once again, taking place Saturday, August 29th at Grand Performances. For details, grandperformances.org. And a quick production note. When I was recording this with Kahlil Cummings, the recorder started to act up, but thank God I had my plan B on standby, my smartphone. Thanks to post-production, we were able to elevate levels, so it may sound a little different than previous episodes, but we're proud of it. All right, without further ado, Kahlil Cummings on GP360. So you've got a big show coming up the 29th, but before we talk about that, I want to rewind. When was the first time you played at Grand Performances?
30 years ago.
How old were you then?
I think I was like 12.
Damn, okay.
I'm trying to tell my age.
So we'll keep that private. What was GP like back then for you?
I remember the water coming from the back. I remember the little, lake that they had going on. I remember flipping all over the stage, doing capoeira. The vibe, like it just seemed like a big stage to me at the time, It just feels like home.
When I revisit places I grew up in LA, when I go back to those apartment buildings, they look smaller than I remembered it. Does that have any play for you? Do you feel like, GP feels smaller? Does it feel bigger? Does it feel the same?
Sort of. I mean, it just feels like home, Like me and Canyon, we joke all the time. Shout out to Canyon, Suswello Cool. We joke all the time, like, man, I just need a parking spot at this point. Like, you might as well park my car on stage and like just store my drums here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Nah, it just seems like it just seems like the space. I am actually very adventurous, and I try to find things that I didn't notice before. So I'm looking at all the restaurants and all this new things happening around here. I'm like, that's different.
You strike me as a curious artist. I mean, in terms of culturally, with your studies from like Cuba and of course around the world and Africa. Have you always been a curious kid when you were growing up in LA?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I owe my dad to that. He kind of just opened the door for the African diaspora for me, and just kind of one thing he was really good at is like really top players and top cats, top pioneers in the traditions. He would just like take them. And I was that talented little kid that I just took it all in. My thing is I love learning. I love the journey. So it's like I'm a big geek about that. Yeah. So that's really what it is for me,
The process. On my way over here, I was listening to your music, and I love the drums. I hear a lot of live instruments, but what I love too, like in the age of music today, drums are very quantized, but I hear the looseness in you, and obviously to me, the percussions are always what breaks that quantized progression of sound. Is that something that you always gravitated to?
Honestly, a lot of these songs on the Extra Ancestral album started, on the computer. It was an idea. There was MIDI involved. There was, basic chords. Then it grew bigger than I can ever imagine. Once I got the band together and got my favorite musicians together, then it's like we embellished it and kept building from there. And then it just like took the song to the next level. But live is always what I strive for. I haven't even, the versions that you heard are probably not even including like, so this album version, which we're going to get into that. I'm, one of the things that my boy Evan, he was like, yo, like, you're not playing the djembe, and that's like my strongest percussion instrument. So like after everything's recorded, it's like I gotta go back and record djembe on everything.
Got
you
it.
know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
So it's like the versions that are out now from 2011 have nothing to. They don't compare to what's manifesting now, in the sense that it just grew to something stronger. I was able to put my percussion stamp on it, you know?
Now, are these songs we're going to be able to hear on the 29th when you perform at Grand Performances?
In a different way, yes, because Grand Performance the 29th, we're featuring Bloco Obini, featuring Q Violin. And, you know, Bloco Obini is a branch of Extra Ancestral. It's my all-women's drum ensemble. We're transforming these two songs will definitely be on there. Black Loves Me, Dudu Femi, Canto Ancestral. But you'll have a version of it with Q Violin with percussion, straight percussion. Mm-hmm.
Do you ever find that songs take on a new life when you perform them live?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, not only do they take on a new life, but you feel how people feel. The idea is to touch people's hearts. You know what I mean? Like, I did the Grammys 2014 with Pharrell. We did a rendition with Hans Zimmerman with we did Happy.
That's such a flex, real quick.
Yeah.
I just want to say that was a flex.
I appreciate it. It was a cool experience, but, you know, when we had a little powwow backstage with the dancers and, you know, all the musicians and all the performers, and, you know, Pharrell spoke to us, and one of the things he said, we're at a time frame where we reached the point where people are starting to feel music again. And I feel like that's what live does. And, you know, I'm a Cancer, so I'm an emotional LA native, you know what I'm saying? So, like, I try to make people feel. You know?
When did you realize that feeling was important to the music process of absorbing it? Or did you always know that?
It just, for me, like, I mean, you know, you grow up and, like, I don't know, you hear Beethoven or you hear Miles Davis, and, like, you just have these emotions. I've always felt music that way. One of my teachers, my elders, he passed away. His name is Mama Diketa, pioneer in the West African tradition, drumming tradition. He was my mentor, one of my mentors. You know, my dad had a cassette tape, like in 85, he dropped it. Probably I was listening to this like when I was 2-3 years old, you know what I'm saying? And my dad was like, you used to, like, based off of different songs, you would, like, react to it. Like, you would be, like, playing around and doing something, and then, like, you would, like, feel the music. And so I think it's something that's always been with me, you know? And I see that too. I think it spread into my, you know, my kids. Like, I look at my son, like, my older son, Orfeo, shout out, homie. He, this is a funny story. I put on Sade. And before that, you know, it was like, you know, random. There was no order. It was just like, you know, playlist was going. And before that, whatever it was, maybe it was Kendrick or something, Sade came on, and dude started crying in the back seat. He was like 5 years old or whatever. I was like, what's wrong? He was like, I'm sad. I was like, damn.
One of the things that I love about you as well is that you like to educate through your performances. How important is that?
I'm going to go down a rabbit hole here a little bit. But, like, if you look at, historically speaking, the history of even just Africa, imperialist powers, even before, like, colonization and before all of that, but, like, a way to take the power away from humanity and from human beings was one of the things that they did was they took away the drum. They took away the dance. Like, I got this shoe. Shout out to Amir. I got all the dates that revolutions happened.
And these are on your shoe. For
this is on my shoe. Listen, This is on my shoe. All these are dates of revolutions that happened across Africa, the Americas, all over. And a lot of these dates, you know, these revolutions happened because, you know, they were trying to dehumanize human beings. They were taking away their culture, taking away the drum. So I consider myself a culture defender, you know. You have to remember the ancient rituals. How does the drum have impact? How does the healing modalities of the drum have an impact on humanity? For me, being a traditional drummer trained in the tradition with, you know, Afro-Cuban, West African, Afro-Brazilian, from a traditional standpoint, I understand that drumming, those rhythms that are remembered, that ancient sonic vibration, those rhythms that go with ritual, have a responsibility on human beings to keep civilization going, keep us moving. And you have to honor that, you know? So I do a lot of teaching around that just in my life in general. I do a lot of residencies. I do a lot of teaching for different organizations. That's something that boiled over into the performance, because it's like, that's why for me, it's extra ancestral. It's not extraterrestrial, it's extra ancestral. Because one thing that we all have in common is ancestors, right? That's super important, that when you're seeing, you know, musicians, the difference with extra ancestors, you're seeing dancers. And the thing is, in a traditional standpoint, the drum marks the dance, and the dance narrates what the musicians are playing. So they're married, they go together. There's that whole component happening. I think it's super important that, you know, we remember those healing modalities that come through the music, but also going back to the drum, like not just, you know, the way that we see it in Western standards, but like the power of those rhythms and those vibrations, what it does.
You know what's funny, as you were talking, you said something that caught my ear about rituals. And then I started thinking about like, what rituals are we contributing today or in the past 50 years? And one of the things that I think, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, the art of sampling.
I think it's necessary. I mean, shout out to Dilla, rest in peace, you know, like Herbie Hancock, you know, Quincy Jones, all those cats that was messing with that, you know. I think it contributes to music as well. I mean, take hip hop itself. To be able to create, you know, growing up, I come from hip hop, right? So like the ability to make EQ those drums and make that snare sound fat and like that's how I want that snare to sound. Like I put this snare with this snare and this snare and I created this sound. I put these drums and this drums, I took that sample, tweaked it, you know what I mean? Played with it and got this sample to repeat like this. So I think it's part of the journey in music too. It definitely has its place. So for me, you combine that with live elements, you blend the two, the best of both worlds, man. I think it's all necessary. It's all part of the music journey. You know what I mean?
We're going to continue our conversation with Kahlil Cummings, but first, asking for your support in keeping grand performances alive and strong for our 41st season and beyond. Head over to grandperformances.org, click on that donate button, and help us continue to share these amazing stories with the figures who make magic happen at Grand Performances. Now more with Kahlil Cummings. Graphic design. Okay. You design your own artwork, which you do the artwork for your records.
Yes, sir. I love art, man. I mean, what you see here is obviously collage art. I see music. I visualize the art as well. You know, I love cinematography. I love photography. I love art pieces. You know, instead of having somebody else do it for me, I was like, this is what I want it to look like. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Let me learn these programs. And obviously it's much easier now. I mean, shout out to people that do that for a living. Thing growing up, like when you went, you know, we used to have a spot out here on Melrose in LA, Fat Beast. You know, you go over there and like that was part of the culture too. You look at a record and you were looking at art, like an art piece, like the photography that went into it or whatever went into it. And you kept them joints. Like when you had CDs or cassette tapes, you kept them joints. You didn't get rid of the artwork. You kept that joint. So for me, that's kind of something that I wanted to also, in addition to the music, like put my imagination and my visuals on it. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like nobody can convey the message you're trying to with your music than you. So what better person to do your design work than you?
Right. So like for this joint, what
are we looking at for folks listening?
All right, so this is a concept, deified ancestor in the Yoruba tradition known as Ogun, the protector. And so it's also like when you're looking at this, it's like going back to ancient people. So it's royalty. Right, and we know that we see the Black Panther in the back. That's also like a little hidden piece right there because that's also protection, revolution, moving forward. In the cosmology of African tradition, they say that this protector, known as Ogun, came from the heavens. This right here, what you see, you know, the galaxy going up to heaven is like the pathway that he took. That's what that's representing. Yeah.
As a collaborator, as somebody who's featured on many records and people's projects, when it's your project, do you enjoy that because you can focus a little more on the mixing of like your percussions or whatever it is you're playing on these records?
I will say this, real talk, percussion is one of those things that when you do it live, sometimes it gets hit in the back. You know what I'm saying? And it's no diss to nobody, but I'm just saying, like, sometimes percussion, if it's not a percussion-heavy song, like if it's not a sewn song or if it's not something that the percussion needs to be up front, you record that joint, sounds really good. And I was like, damn, you get the record? Where'd it go? So I will say, to answer your question, I love when it's my project because it's like, no, I'm putting everything, all these drums up front, and I'm creating something that, like, you can see what these drums are doing behind the scenes. Like, you can see it up front. You know what I mean?
In some ways, I made the Herbie Hancock comparison. But you're also Dennis Rodman. Without your contributions, there's no championship. So
I'll take that.
So the 29th, this show, I believe, came about last minute. What's it like in terms of preparing for the shows?
It's butter, to be honest. Like, Q Violin and I have collaborated, you know, for years. He works with Extra Ancestral. He's played with Bloco Obini. It's butter. And so, you know, it's one of those things where I'm just happy when he's in town. Bloco Obini, they rehearse every other Tuesday.
And that's the female ensemble?
Yeah.
Okay.
The female drum ensemble, Bloco Obini. To put something together and plug in a singer, that's butter. It's just like icing on the cake.
Yeah.
Like, the cake was already good. It's like cuatro leches. You know what I'm saying? It's like we just making it just making it even better. You know what I mean? So this is easy. I'm just happy to present it and for people to see it. It's nothing. It's a blessing to have Q. Shout out to Q, violin. And we just want to get it live and you know get it right so that some Rompera can get it live too, you know what I'm saying, and do what they do.
What's it like when you come here and like the production stuff? To me, it always feels like a big backyard party.
I mean, this is my people's, you know. I think this year more than other years, I've also come on days where I'm actually not playing. It feels like I'm in the backyard, like how you said. So it's family, man. I mean, it's a dope team. I mean, they know me, they know my sound. They've had my band. They've seen me with other bands. Every time I'm here, you know, when the setup is there, and shout out to LP Percussion for, you know, sending the back line, LP Music Official. Shout out to Jerry for that. I get there, they know how I like to sound. They kind of know my sound, like production as far as like, you know, the team over there. So it's like, I know I'm going to hear myself. I know I'm not going to be buried in the mix.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, you know, sometimes, I mean, you know, it happens. You play major venues. Sometimes you're at Hollywood Bowl and it's a big venue and you got this percussion back there and you got all these band members and sometimes you can't really hear.
Did you ever feel like sometimes where you feel like you're not taken seriously as a guitar player or bass player? And by the way, I think you should be.
Well, I bring this back to Kamasi. And the reason why, shout out to Kamasi watching, the reason why I bring up Kamasi because there was a point where it was like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years in a row we were playing there. You know, that's a pretty big band. You know, to be able to jump in on that project and play percussion, you know, with 2 drummers going on, really sick drummers. You know, I have to find a bed for things to sit on, but I got to find the gap and like be relevant. So like, yeah, in my mind, I'm like, yeah, you ain't gonna hear me. But every year I look at the playback, I look at the videos, I'm like, psh, I'm right out there.
Yeah.
But it has to be understood, like, if you're a shredder, you know, maybe you'll get a little bit more respect around that. But definitely, like, you know, certain times where percussion is like, ting, this little bell here, little shaker here, this. You know, I had the privilege of working with Raphael Sadiq when he was, I was doing some cute stuff. And I was like doing some shakers and like some little ting-tings or whatever. And he was like, yeah, that's cool, man. I want to see your hands moving on them drums. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when you have a person in whoever, you know, the artist you're playing for or whoever's curating, when they understand the power and the, you know, importance of the percussion, they care about it and they want to like make you be heard, then you know what I'm saying?
But isn't that what you need to hear? You get that kind of green light to be like, okay, like you're gonna see hands move now.
Yeah, like okay, like and it happens all the time where, you know, it just depends. You go into some spaces and they want you to play, we call them, you know, toys. They want you to play toys and stuff. And then you come into some spaces where they're like, no, I want to see your hands moving, like play. Yeah. Get down. You know what I mean? I'm fortunate that a lot of the bands that I play with now, and including, you know, my own, that, yeah, like, their hands is definitely moving. Feel me? Like, I'm playing. Yeah.
It's easy to get lost when you're playing with Kamasi and you've got an entire band. And there's a lot going on. But I feel like when I listen to, you know, your work, Kahlil Cummings, like, I feel like it breathes. That's the word I'm looking for. It breathes. And I appreciate that about your sound.
I appreciate that. Yeah, that's the point, man. Like, I had the privilege of working with KRS-One on honestly, he was giving a lecture. He said this thing like perspective. He said, take a room. It's like a white room, right? Nothing in it. It's just like a white room. White walls, whatever. It's empty. He says, you walk in there and, you know, let's say you're a painter. So now your perspective on this room is coming from a painter's perspective. So you're looking at the walls, you're looking at the ceiling, like, you're looking at the landscape from that standpoint. And he's like, okay, then take, you know, I don't know, then take an architect. They walk in the room and their perspective on the room is based off of an architect's perspective. Oh, they're like, oh, I see they use, you know, drywall here, or they did this. They have this perspective. Okay, now take a percussionist. He walks in that room. He's like, oh, the acoustics sounds like this. Like, oh, He has his own perspective on the room, right? But it's all the same room. So I look at that in music. Although I'm a percussionist, it is my perspective on music. Versus like if a horn player is seeing how percussion looks, they see percussion from a horn player's perspective. So, but we're speaking the same language, right? So it's just my perspective. And I try to, what inspires me musically is just a perspective. That being said, where percussion is up front.
And I want to take it back though, because you're from LA. What part of LA are you from?
I'm from West LA.
Okay.
Yeah.
What
Went
was
to Hamilton?
Everybody went to Hamilton.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that, about Hamilton's musical legacy and music today? Apparently,
ham and cheese, man. Hamilton Yankees, man. I don't know. That's we all went there. A lot of us had the same teachers and stuff, and they had a really dope music program at the time. One thing I will say is Hamilton, like some of the people that I connected with there in life, I'm still cool with to this day, and we still ride or die to this day. 5, 6 of us that. Like, we're family. I can call right now, homie's gonna answer the phone, and they're all dope. Musicians, carpenters, whatever. We're all, like, just doing our thing in our own perspectives. But connecting there, we just became family. And also, it gave me a place to express myself. Like, I was bringing Brazilian instruments and be like, oh, let's play during lunch over here. At first, like, teacher was like, but then they just like, well, that's what they do every lunch, so just let them go.
when you were in high school, tell me about your curiosity in terms of instruments from other countries.
I mean, that was from childhood. My curiosity from my dad being a, global musician, like, world music musician, playing all these different forms, like, I was just exposed to it so young. So, like, going to high school was actually me, like, kind of getting more tapped into, like, reading music, ethnology, ethnomusicology and all that, and, getting the education of music standpoint. So that was what high school was: marching band, drumline, orchestra, you know what I'm saying? But, Hamilton also had, like, extra stuff going on. Like, they had a good, like a Latin jazz band kind of thing going. They had a good jazz band going. They had a good mariachi, one of the best in LA at the time. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I find myself in just weird configurations, like reading music and playing, but mainly to be able to, like, bring other instruments that had nothing to do with, like, the education that was happening there, and then them being like, well, yeah, like, you can leave your drums here, like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I'd be over there, like, getting the homies to play, and they just let us do our thing.
I think what's really cool too is, like, a lot of kids tend to rebel against their parents, whereas you seem to have embraced.
Rest in peace to my mom. Like, she definitely put up with, the fact that, like, all I cared about was music. There was a point where she might have questioned, like, because I was missing a lot of school. Full transparency, like, I missed a lot of school, high school, even and middle school, because I would go to Africa every year. The time that I was going to Africa would always be like winter break, and the camps that I was going to study out there, with Mama Diketa, they would always be into winter vacation, but a little bit after still going. So I would always come back, and I would miss like weeks of school. It was a long path for me to graduate. Let's just put it that way. And so my mom had to have faith in me, like, you gonna be, you gonna do this music thing, and it's gonna be something, because like you barely graduate. You know what I'm saying? You're not here. Like, so she had faith in me, you know what I'm saying? And, my dad had the vision because he played music, so he put me with the right people. But obviously it's like he was kind of bending the, the educational rule a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And so moms definitely had to believe in that, and she did. Once she cashed in, like, all right, that's your destiny. That's what we're going to do.
How did traveling open your eyes, especially at a young age?
I would say that definitely, again, we talk about perspective. It was really interesting coming back from traveling to, like, school and being locked in a place for 8 hours. And then, like, the social aspect of being in school. It was definitely, I was different. I dressed different. I had dreads. I loved language, so it was cool to, like, learn different languages and stuff like that. But I think, travel for anything, like, I think it's the most essential thing for people to see the world beyond just where you are, to be able to do that young. I kind of grew fast a little bit, I want to say.
Yeah.
You know, I was that young kid, like, in a room with adults. I think it was the best thing that ever happened to me. You know, I see people, you see humans for who they are.
I remember my timeline blowing up around January. I think it was January. You were in the Super Bowl.
I knew that was coming up.
You knew it was coming up. And your name was all over my feed, and it made me very proud. When you see somebody from LA pop up, and I even saw you on the screen. What was it like to get that call? Did you realize it would be a big moment as it was?
Man, look, I have a lot to say about that. So, first of all, shout out to Benito Bad Bunny for, you know, opening the door for so many artists to be a part of that legendary performance. And I'm honored to have taken place and got the call, you know, taking part. I will say it's funny. So Kendrick did the Super Bowl before, right? And a lot of my people were on that as far as dancers, because I work with a lot of dancers. I work with a lot of, I've done, you know, Grammys. I've done, you know, a lot of those type of shows where I work with the choreographers who are choreographing for a lot of these big artists. And then I'm like their favorite percussionist. So I see my people on that joint and I'm like, yeah, I wonder what's happening, you know, 2026. Like, so when I saw that it was Benito, you know, Bad Bunny, I was like, yo, this is going to be a good time for percussionists. That's what I said. And the reason why I said that is because, you know, that music, like reggaeton, and like if you listen to Benito, you know, Bad Bunny's latest album, there's a lot of son on there. There's a lot of salsa and the percussion's up front. You know, one of his musical consultants for that project and for what he's doing right now is from Brazil. He's got some dope percussionists rocking with him right now. You know, Julito and those cats. And so the percussion's like up front. And like when I heard the album, I'm like, this is gonna influence a lot of Latin music. And I think it's going to be an opportunity for, like, you know, a lot of people to kind of appreciate percussion. I actually told that to the company, LP, Latin Percussion Music Official. You know, I told them, like, I think you're going to see a lot of spike in, you know, influence on people really wanting percussion. You're going to see a lot of artists get opportunities just because Benito's playing the Super Bowl. And sure enough, like, I feel like a week later after I said that to the company, got the call. You know what I'm saying?
You manifested it to the universe? Also, you're dope, though. I mean, it's like, come on.
I appreciate it. So the funny thing is, at first, you know, it was like, dang, okay, cool. I couldn't say anything, you know, NDAs in place and stuff. So I was like, okay. It didn't really register to me until even the rehearsals here, like, it was like, okay, this is happening. You know, I'm kind of like seeing the vision. Then when we got there in the Bay and it was like that first rehearsal, it was like, oh, I'm playing the Super Bowl. And then it's like, you know, it was a crazy time because my boy, you know, Benito got, you know, the Grammys.
But how did you rehearse that? Because watching it, there's various...
There was a lot of moving pieces. All I can say is 2 weeks of rehearsal, bro. Like, it was every day. Like a section, whatever we're working on. And it just had to be patient. I had to get comfortable being around hundreds of people. But we all really, really, really locked in. I think, again, I want to say that it was an interesting time because the Grammys were happening at the same time. So being able to be a part of a production where the artist that you're playing for is also getting Grammys in the midst of that for the projects that you're going to be, you know, working on for the biggest performance that happens every year, you know. Like, it was just crazy time. It was kind of like over my head a little bit, you know, and I will say that the cool thing that I take from that is that, you know, having that music in my in-ears for 2 weeks, I actually started to, like, really, really, really love the vibe that was happening and everything. So, like, aside from me being a percussionist, aside from me being, you know, educator and teacher and all that, you know, I'm not a DJ like you, but I do DJ, you know what I mean? I do mixes, you know what I mean? And I'm a little bit selfish because I play what I like to play, like Afrobeat, hip hop, you know. I do my thing. I'm not going to self-hex myself. Respect to you as a DJ, like, you know what I'm saying? You a real DJ, so.
Thanks. Now looking back, it's August now as we record this. You saw the videos of people at home crying. Like, you saw the pride from all kinds of people. Like, did you anticipate that during rehearsal?
No. Honestly, I'll tell you like this. I was crying inside. I'll tell you the moment that for me, like when all the flags come out at the end. So when we rehearsed it, that kind of came later into the rehearsals. they kept saying it that moment. And then, you know, my dad's side of the family, we come from Guyana. So to see the Guyana flag come out, see one of the dancer homie that I know rocking that flag too, it was like just the connections that were just happening. But see all the South American countries being represented in that moment, and just the joy in creating memories, what the song is talking about. And, you know, one of the things about anybody that knew my mom, she always was big on creating memories. Like, that was her thing. She would always be the one taking pictures and doing photo albums. Like, she was like, life is precious. She's like, we got to take photos. We got to, like, remember this, because, you know what I'm saying? I'm thinking about my mom's. I'm thinking about, like, the moment that's happening. And so, not necessarily to answer your question, like, I didn't anticipate the impact that it was going to have on other people, because I was in my feelings. So when I saw everybody feeling the same way that I felt, it's like, yeah, that last joint where we're going off that lasted all the way for another like 15 minutes.
In the tunnels?
Yeah, through the tunnels, outside the tunnels, going down back to where the dressing rooms were. Like, we kept it going. Like, it went for like 15 minutes. Game started. We're still out there. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Last question before we get out of here, and I appreciate you making the time, because I know you got lots of work. You're getting ready for your big show on the 29th. I wanted to ask you, you know, one of the terms that when I research you is prodigy. Do you ever feel pressure with that word, or do you just embrace it and keep it moving?
That's interesting. Nobody's ever asked me that. You know, I just think I have a responsibility to honor my elders, my teachers, that they gave me the sanction to carry the torch and do what I do best, which is, you know, drumming in this case, and manifesting and culture defending and representing, you know, correctly. For me, when I think of that word prodigy, it's more like someone who's responsible to carry this. And I'm not gonna drop the ball with that. I'm gonna make sure they happy. I'm gonna make sure they are appeased in this realm and in the spirit realm. Like, I'm gonna do what I have to do. The greatest compliment is no compliment for me. When I know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and my teachers ain't gotta check me or say something, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then I'm doing it right. That's what I say to that. Like, that's all I care about. It's just making my teachers proud.
Kahlil Cummings, we're excited. The 29th. Once again, plug everybody who's on this bill.
So we got Bloco Obini featuring the homie Q Violin. Shout out to Q Violin again. That's gonna be a special performance. And then Son Rompera, you know, LA's favorite finale. You gotta have them on there. So, you know, we doing it LA proper.
Give me some words of wisdom to close us out.
Many are called, but few are chosen. The idea is that we have a responsibility more than just the art forms to just be out here just trying to make money off of it for ourselves. Like, we got to affect humanity. Can I inspire 200 people when I wake up every day? You know what I'm saying? Basic, simple stuff. Like, say social media, we focus so much on the left thumb, or the going left or going right, or pressing likes and stuff like that. But, like, really, like, your core audience, what I would say to my core audience is, I love you and I love your support and I want to touch you. I care about you. I care about those who are being affected by the current environment. You know, so if I have a platform where I can affect that in a positive way, that's my vision. Yeah. You know, so I stand with the people, man. You know. So if I'm chosen or if I'm called, but either way, Kahlil Cummings is for you. He's down for you. If you down for me, I'm down for you. I pray for my enemies as a light. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you want to put that on there.
I love all that. We're keeping all that. There it is. Grand Performances season finale, our GP360 episode with Kahlil Cummings. Don't forget to check out previous episodes on our pod page. Wherever you listen to your podcast, they are there. A big thank you to Francesca Harding for her production assistance. Of course, the social media team, everybody at GP, Captain Planet for the theme song. Again, grandperformances.org. Hit that donate button. Please do support. And yeah, I'm out. Peace.